Hi, here we are to continue working on our weather app with React and React Native. And so far, we've got our weather component here. And the weather component gets our location from geolocation, get current position here. And then when this happens, we get our weather data. And when the weather data is loaded at the moment, we're logging the data to the console. So right here, we let's actually zoom in on that a little bit, right? So right here, we're logging the weather data as JSON to the console, and our app currently looks like this. I'm going to refresh it and open up the console, and you can see the console here has our coordinates. That's the position, and then over here is the weather data. And if we open that up, you can see you've got the latitude, longitude, current weather data. It says currently, and we've got the temperature, right? So we need a way to display this and a way to tell our component that it needs to, to re-render and display the data. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go to the top of my weather component here. And I think what I'll do is I'll just take all that JSON and I'll assign it to state. Okay? Maybe we'll call it weather. Okay? And right now we need to give the weather a default property. So I'm going to set it to null. So that means like there is no weather data, okay? And then what we'll do is down here, after we're done, getting the weather, and we've fetched the weather and processed the response, the JSON response, right? What we'll do, I'm going to comment this. Actually, let's leave that there because we might want to examine that in the console to just see what the data is, right? But after we've loaded the data here, what we'll do is we'll say this dot set state. And what we're going to do is we're going to change the weather property and assign it this JSON data. Okay? And now what I'd like to do is I'd like to display some of this data in some way, right? So I'm going to scroll down to the render method. And in the render method here, we need to look at our state and see what's available. And right now I have this message, and the message just displays the latitude and longitude, right? But maybe we want to also display, the temperature or something, right? So what we'll do is we'll do this. Actually, I'm going to add another. I'll leave this latitude and longitude there. We might even just take that out. Maybe we don't need that. But what if I made another text label here? And I called this temp, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to check my weather data. So I'll say, how about var temp equals, an empty string or something, right? We'll clean this up and make it nicer later, but just to get it to display right now, we'll just make a variable. It's just got some question marks, and so that means like when I run this, I'll see the question marks there, and that'll be the temperature, right? But what I want to do is I want to check, and I want to say like, hey, if this dot state dot weather, right, does not equal null, then we know we have weather data. So then here we want to set the temperature equal to some value from our state. And up here I kind of just got position from state.position. Maybe I'll do that with the weather also, right? So maybe this should have also been a const. Let's make that a constant, right? And then right here we'll say get weather, or weather equals this dot state dot weather. And then down here we can kind of simplify this part to just say weather, right? And now what's the temperature going to be if we if we get this? So how do we get to the temperature? Let's take a quick look at our console here. Maybe I'll even resize this window here and open this thing up. And what I'll do is I'll get the current temperature, or the apparent temperature, for the current weather data. So this part of the object here is the current weather data. Okay, so we have this currently object, and it's at the root level. So what are we going to do with that? At least I think that's at the root level there. Right, there's our object, latitude, longitude, time zone, offset, currently. Yeah, so that's our first top level object, right? So we'll get currently, it's going to be currently apparent temperature. So what we'll do is we'll say, how about weather dot currently dot apparent temperature. And we should be careful of case, right? So we'll say apparent temperature, and then maybe maybe I'll use the backticks around this here. Wrap it in the, where's that thing, the $sign there, and the curly braces. And then I'm going to use option K, and that prints the little, degree symbol, right? So it'll say, weather temperature and the degree symbol. And then we can take the temperature and put it right here, right? So if we have a temperature, we put it in there. Otherwise, it'll be the question marks. Okay? Let's give it a try. So there's our weather. Oh, there we go. And there's the temperature showing up, right? And, if there was something else we wanted to do, maybe right in here, we could, format the temperature. Or, better yet, maybe we could create a component to display the temperature, right? So we could create a custom component. We can just insert that component there and pass the weather in as a prop, or the temperature, or actually the whole weather object maybe, right? So we'll do that in a moment, right? Let's talk a little bit about just styling and what we're going to do. So if you followed the procedure there, you could get any of the properties here, right? So we've got current, we've got daily, we've got flags, we've got hourly, right? So currently gives you the current temperature for the location. So these are all like current, values for, your current location. Daily gives you an array, and every item in this array is an object, and it kind of looks like the other one, right? But this is a daily object. So this gives us an array of, weather forecasts for the next series of days. And each one of these will have where is it? It'll have a date on it somewhere, right? So you can tell what day it is. Where is that? We got sunrise and sunset. So I guess you could figure out the day from this. And then we got time. So this is the time there. So you could probably use this to figure out the day, right? So use maybe a JavaScript date object, right? And then there's also an hourly object here. So hourly, again, gives you an array, and then it gives you 49 items, I guess. So I guess that's the next 49 hours worth of weather, right? And each one of these will be similar, right? So it has, apparent temperature and humidity and et cetera, right? And then I guess it gives us a time right here. And so probably the times are incremented in hours, right? So anyway, so that should get you started on creating your weather app, right? So the challenge here would be to, set up some components to display various parts of the date, right? So parts of the weather, right? So, you can go through here and kind of look at this. It's probably a good idea to keep this in the console just so you have an idea of what this looks like, or you can consult the documents on darksky.net. Okay, so anyway, thanks for watching, and then I hope that gets you started on your weather app. And in the next couple of videos, maybe I'll format a couple things and I'll talk about how I did it, but you can do your own, right? And good luck. Thanks.